just typing. Okay, well, we're at the Talkback portion of the viewing party. We just finished watching Front Window. I am Kristen Linton, and I'm joined by actress Ashley Ford and director and writer Karen Louisa Linton. Thanks so much for making this happen, ladies.
Thank you, script supervisor.
Yeah. Is that my title? Am I the script supervisor? I didn't know what my title was other than Talkback host today.
Script consultant and sister.
Yeah, script consultant and sister. Karen, could you talk a little bit about the, where this came from and your process for writing this?
Yes, I sure can. So Ashley and I had worked together on a previous project a year ago. I think it was a year ago, right, Ashley? Was it 2? Something like that. And it was written by Teo Salter, and it was actually in Hollywood Fringe, and Ashley was going to take it to Scotland this month. She would be there if it weren't for, something that happened. I'm not sure what it was. And we so enjoyed collaborating together. We really wanted to do it again. And we can't ask Teo to basically build us a playground every time we want to hang out. So it was, because he has his own life. He has to
and this is a good segue. He has his own show that is also appearing. It will be airing next week as part of the Space UK's online at the Space UK Festival.
That's great.
Everyone will get an email about.
Hooray!
He was working hard on that.
Anyway. Yeah, he's busy writing his own work. And so Ashley and I said, well, this is the perfect time for us to work on something together. And so I started writing something. It originally was going to be kind of Ashley's life story of when she was in New York. And then it changed to, it was going to be kind of a feminist critique on modern feminism. And then my sister Kristen told me about her goings on as a quarantined woman and watching people in her neighborhood. And so then I just decided to write mainly it's an imagined story of a woman, much like Kristen, who's wandering around her neighborhood, keeping track on things, keeping tabs. And so that's how it started. And then Space UK came along, and then we had to finish it, which was a race to the end because I was not prepared to finish it in, I think, 3 days. And so that's how it started.
Yeah. And it did come out of like the pandemic too. I mean, you wanted to write something a long time before we knew a pandemic would happen. But I think it was during the pandemic where we all of a sudden, we needed something to do creatively. And I know that a lot of the pieces in it came out of I remember having actual conversations with you about some of these things, like the whole section about why are people asking, why are people asking us what's new? Nothing is new. We would like laugh about it on the phone.
Yeah, and originally it was supposed to be much darker, and I talked to Ashley about how, I think this character, it's not going to be during quarantine, but you think when you're listening to it that it's taking place during quarantine, and then you find out, no, she's just someone who hasn't left. And then I realized that is not fun, and it's not funny. And if you look at the world, if you just watch the news or turn on any sort of social media, it's a trash dump. And it's much like, there's that line, hell must be empty because all the devils are here. And that's what I feel like we don't need drama right now. And so I thought, well, let's make this something funny. And Ashley is such a natural comedian. It just makes sense that she would be this woman who's slightly off, but charming, because that plays to Ashley's strengths in many ways. Mm-hmm, I think I rambled, and I apologize.
No, that was good. I was going to say, the script went through several iterations, and I was lucky enough to, see this come to life, you know, the process that the two of you went through. Ashley, how did you create this character? Because she is very likable and relatable. But it took a while, I think, to get there. So what was your process?
Well, I was kind of going along with Karen because she was developing it. So I was with her through all the different read throughs. And like I said, I mean, a lot of it that she wrote were things that we actually talked about and stories we shared about things our friends had said about how they were dealing with the pandemic. And there's an element of like all of our mental health being pushed to the rim. So yeah, I don't know how I developed the character. I'm very script based, so the character's there, and you know, I just gotta do the digging and let the things happen. Yeah, I'm really complex. I'm really complex. Can you tell?
He asked so many probing questions. I
I
realized
know.
as I am as a writer sometimes. She's like, okay, so then what does this mean? Because you referenced this, and then we go
Yeah.
back to this, and I thought, oh, it was funny in my
Yeah.
head. And then I feel like a nitwit because Ashley is reading it like it's Albie or Stoppard or something. She's like,
Well, no, there were things like you wrote things, and like I thought I had one friend who during the pandemic, he said at one point his schedule was just he woke up in the morning and then he waited for night to come and then he went back to bed and we did it all over again. And you know, there was like things like that, you know. And all of a sudden, I do remember becoming very conscious. Oh, we have guests apparently that just not never happens.
This is
Ever.
creativity in COVID.
Come on in.
Come
on.
Well, can we talk a little bit about how, I mean, obviously this was inspired by the COVID situation, but could we talk a little bit about how Corona and COVID has affected your creativity and your process, Karen? And then Ashley, if you could weigh in after.
Well, generally, I don't know about y'all, but I wake up and I'm generally apathetic, especially now, because at the beginning of COVID, if you remember like the first week, everyone was saying, oh, it's a party. Like, this is exciting. We all have to stay home and we're going to watch Netflix together. We're going to do wine at noon and it's going to be so much fun. And then the next week came and we realized, oh, people are dying. People are losing their jobs. The economy is now on the toilet for the foreseeable future. And suddenly it wasn't a party anymore. And I think generally, I don't mean to sound bleak, but it's hard and I feel rather apathetic about most things. But the great thing about working with Ashley is that Ashley's an actress and I am a writer, but at the end of the day, we both are producers. So no matter what, you know, if she's feeling a little down or a little dismissive, I'm the one that can step in and be the producer and vice versa. And so that's the great thing I think about our collaboration is that no matter what, we're moving forward. And at the very end of the day, we are going to produce something, which is great because that means, I mean, Ashley has the hustling spirit. She's very ambitious. She's very thoughtful. And so when we need to get to work, and if I don't feel like working, she's there and she's asking where like the next version of the script is and where's the next edit, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's really great. But I mean, just in general, COVID certainly has, I never wear zippered things anymore. I think the zipper industry is in distress probably because it's only going to be stretchy pants and drawstrings. And I know it's just hard. It's a hard time to want to produce anything when my initial inclination is to just eat and wait for the next day to start. Like Ashley was saying, you're just like, can I just eat my meal and go to bed and hope that the next day this is over with? Yeah, so there, I'm just grateful that I have Ashley to collaborate with, who demands that something be produced, you know, like a true producer.
Ashley, how has it affected your creativity, the virus and, you know, being in quarantine, staying in?
Yeah, I mean, definitely at the beginning. I mean, there's two kinds of people. Like, yes, I'm a very hustly person. Like, let's go, let's do things. But there was just this whoomph at the beginning of the pandemic where I couldn't do anything. I was just
Yeah.
worried about getting to the grocery store because, yeah, and I just took a break. But then, we all kind of found our stride, or I certainly did. And then there was just this deafening silence of, we were, I mean, I think if anything, this whole pandemic sort of made me realize that, I mean, artists always say this, but I really do need to be creating. If I'm not creating, I'm like a little, I'm like a sad little basil plant that hasn't been watered, and it starts to like, but then you give it some water and it's like, oh, hi. I don't know if you guys,
Pesto.
does anyone use basil plant? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, I love
Yeah,
basil
Trader
plants.
Joe's
Yeah.
basil plants. You think they're like dead, and then you just water the heck out of them and they bounce back. That's me. Yeah. And that's creativity. So yeah, so there was a certain point where it was like, we need to do something. And I have other, like, a good friend Anna was like, let's, and it was a struggle. We put up this thing called the crossover series, which was the first time we did Teo's other play that we're going to do next week, Dreaming of Sexual Healing, sort of. And that took, I mean, it was supposed to be up in 3 weeks, and it took us 6 weeks because we were just, psychologically, it was like so hard to do just little things, I guess.
And that was
the world. And there was yeah. But you have to take care of yourself. Yeah. And I think it's interesting because I think there is an element of examining, like I said, in the show, about through a humorous lens, obviously, but our mental health during a pandemic, and what we do and create to get by and get through.
So, Karen, could you talk a little bit about the logistics of filming this? Because I know initially we had talked about, how is this going to work? Is it live? Is it filmed? Do you cut and edit things? How did you decide how this would be presented?
That was really challenging because at first, when we were writing this, and it was before Space UK was involved, my idea was that this was going to be a black box, just a long monologue. And it's just this one woman show. It's 20 to 30 minutes, black box, and this woman's just talking. She's sitting on a chair. And then when I realized, well, people have to watch this and it has to go on Space UK, then the question of how we're going to do it came about. And I'm used to filming with people who are much smarter than me, in every sort of way. People are much more patient, people who are more experienced, everything. And then suddenly it was just Ashley and I, and the only camera we had was our iPhones. And then I borrowed from work some lights. That's why I'm in the same spot that Ashley was in, but I'm not lit as well because I don't have that.
Right.
So that was a challenge, is that, okay, so we're going to film this. And then in the editing process, because we did so many takes, which is completely unnatural to theater, I can really sort of change what the audience sees. And I had to really embrace that. And something Ashley and I talked about is that we're going to film these little inserts, these little asides, and we're going to add that to really pepper the play. That's not really a play anymore. It's kind of a very bare bones COVID production, because it's just she and I. And so I had to really sort of lean into the fact that I can change things, I can add jokes, I can really change Ashley's performance in some way, because we can go through different takes of hers. And so really, I mean, it's more like a short film rather than it is a play, strictly speaking, because Ashley filmed it and then her performance was in my hand, which is much more what happens to actors when they work in film than when they work on stage. But we filmed it like it was a live play. So Ashley would do these long takes, and actually most of what people are watching when they watch the play is Ashley doing one entire take. So it's very rare that I'm cutting to a different take. It's Ashley doing the 25-minute play. And that was exciting that I could do that, but it's not the same feeling as a play. You know, everyone's watching this at home while they're eating dinner or, I don't know, folding their laundry. So I have to sort of embrace the fact that this isn't a normal play experience whatsoever.
And Karen's being very generous. Our goal was to shoot it. We were just going to film it like 3 times all in one take, but it was like 25 minutes worth of dialogue that I tried memorizing in a week. And we actually were only going to film one day.
Yeah.
I think we can tell people this. And then I was terrible. I mean, I wish they should have, you could make a show out of the bloopers. I was just like crazy woman. I didn't know my line. Like you just get, because when you're in theater I can do like 60 minutes on stage, but that takes months of rehearsal. And then plus you do previews in front of live audience and dress rehearsals, and there was none of that. And so it was a bit of a challenge, but and so then we were like, well, you know what, we'll make cuts. And then we came back Friday to film, and it was by the end of the day I did 1 take without stopping and without mistakes. That was, and for like 2 days. It was crazy.
But I have no idea how to memorize 25 minutes of anything. I barely have my social security number memorized, and that's 9 numbers. I don't know how you memorize 25 minutes of dialogue, and it's deliberately non sequiturs. So I was kind of cruel in the fact that one thought does not lead to another, which is, I think, what is naturally happening in someone's head, especially if they're alone all day. They have one thought, and then the next one is, it doesn't mean anything and it's not connected to the next one. But how do you memorize such a thing? I don't know.
If you're paying attention, everything does tie together in the end. This is a story about a woman who is scattered brain because of her she hasn't been around people for like 3 or more months, and
we're in 6 months. It's 6 months.
Yeah.
I love the trailer that you made for the for this. I think sometimes trailers are really, really bad and don't ever let you know what the play or the movie or the book is about. But the trailer really gave you a great feel for exactly what this was. Did you all collaborate on that, or Karen? How did I really like the walking banana too?
Yeah,
it was all Karen. It just showed up.
Unfortunately, it's all from a deranged and lonely mind, probably, which is mine, I have to admit. I spend a lot of time in this very seat. This is so sad. I'm giving people way too much personal information, but I sit in this seat and I just look out here, and I just thought, oh, that's what this character does. She's just looking out, narrating the rambling thoughts that she has. And the character in the play is called Peeled Banana. He's actually a man. He's not a peeled banana. And I just thought, oh, that would be funny if we had an animated peeled banana walk by. And I mean, that was it. It's just a deranged mind. I spent a lot alone as a child. I don't know. Something's wrong, probably. And then why not put the can music on top of it?
Perfect.
It's not a good idea. I don't know. But I'm glad you liked it.
I loved it. We're also having comments like, we need a sequel. Do you think that we'll see this character again in another future rendition?
In prison, I think. She's
oh, that's terrible.
basically narrating her experience in a woman's prison. I don't know. Actually, I would like this to actually just be kind of previews, and then we can develop something more and we can film more. That's our hope, because I think this is just the beginning. It's just the infancy of the story. That's our hope, at least. I mean, who knows?
I mean, we had to get the final cut and video to the Space UK like 5 days before it started. But like up until the last second, we were like thinking of new ideas of like, oh, we could add this cut here, and oh, if we could film this insert there, you know, there was so much we wanted to do.
Would this ever be a live performance, do you think?
I think I don't know how, I mean, Karen, I know you weren't necessarily thinking of it as a live stream thing at all originally, but I think, yeah, I think I could do it as a live stream, and even like it would be, again, there would be tricky staging, but you could like walk around her apartment, and yeah, that could be fun.
Or would it ever make its way to live theater if we ever get to go to live theater again?
Well, Italy's doing live theater, and they were on the cusp of falling into the ocean and being Atlantis or something. So
let's go to Italy.
Take it to Italy.
I don't know what a live show would look like now. Just because I went from thinking of it as a black box show to thinking of it as this little filmed short thing, whatever this is. But I have every confidence that Ashley's smarter and braver than me, so if she has an idea, it'd probably be good. But I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm out of ideas.
Well,
we're open to suggestions.
Good. Well, I think that you have a lot of people who would love to see the next thing that the two of you do. You have a really fun, collaborative process, and I love working with both of you. Is there anything that you want to share with the viewers before we bid adieu?
Well, I just wanted to reassure Mr. Philistine that I'm not currently fearful for my safety.
Oh, good. Yes.
It was very someone knocked at the door, and we weren't I have no idea who knocked at the door, but I kind of overheard part of the conversation. It was Kay, who's this house I am in. I heard she said something like, she's like, no, that's not our place. Like it was like the wrong address kind of
Oh.
So I'm okay.
She's okay.
I have champagne. So.
Great.
No, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched this thing. I was writing this alone and just trying to make you and Ashley laugh. That was my own. And the fact that other people now have invested a small modicum of their day to this is, I think it's rather funny. It's so silly. I mean, I wrote a 5-minute story about a woman obsessed with chips. I mean, that was the basis of it. So I just thank you to everyone in Space UK, and yeah, thank you. And if you're throwing tomatoes, you're by yourself, and so I can't see it.
No one's throwing tomatoes. We all enjoyed this. Thank you so much.
Tomatoes are everywhere these days.
That's true. Yes. Ashley, did you have one more thing?
Oh gosh, it left me. I feel like yes, there were things. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to like the original show on YouTube, and to click the share button and send it to people. You know, we're new to the world of the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and so it's great to get as much exposure. I have a link that we can email people as well if they want to submit any feedback. It can be completely anonymous, or they can, or not, because we're open to hearing that. And yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you so much for.
Oh, and sorry. Check out the Space UK. I'll put the information in the chat, live chat. Check out online.thespaceuk.com. There's a bunch of other great shows, including we have one other show, Owl and Pussycat Theater Company, that will be airing next Sunday.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, ladies. And thanks everyone for tuning in. This was a lot of fun. Stay safe. Don't lick any doorknobs.
Toilet seats. Remember that awful woman who did that? Sorry. I'm sorry.
That's our medical advice. Okay.
I'm out of work, people over here. Anyways. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.